All right, so today we are going to do section 7.3, which is solving multi-step equations. Step equations. Remember, equation means equal sign. Equations with fractions, our good old friend the fractions, and decimals. Okay, you guys, we have had so much practice with fractions and decimals. Things you need to remember when we're adding and subtracting: common denominator. When we're adding and fractions, let's just say. When we're adding and subtracting decimals, line up the decimals. Do you have to line them up and find a common denominator for the other ones? No, it's just adding and subtracting that we have the special rules with. So make sure that you remember that that is what we are doing with decimals, okay? And fractions. Let's just do 0.7 or something like that. Okay, so when we add and subtract fractions, we need a common denominator. When we add and subtract decimals, we need to line up the decimal point. So let's do a little review. We kind of did a review a little bit for 7.2, but that'll be okay. We can do another one. If I have 4/5 x equals 12, okay? I have 4/5, that means I need to divide both sides by 4/5, because right now we're multiplying. Divide both sides by 4/5, so I would have, we start with the number next to the equal sign, 12 divided by 4/5. You guys, I highly recommend writing this out, because if you don't, you're just going to flip them and multiply and you're not knowing which one's going first. This helps slow your brain down. Okay, so if I do 12 times 5/4, 12 is the same as 12/1. I can reduce, divide by 4, and I'd get 3. Divide by 4, I'd get 1. 5 times 3 is 15. 1 times 1 is 1, so our answer is x equals 15. Okay, let's do one more review. Second one here says 2/3 n equals 28. So I'm going to divide both sides by 2/3, divide by 2/3. So I would get 28 divided by 2/3. Always we have to start with that number. Always, 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 always. Okay, so put over 28 over 1 times 3/2. I could divide that by 2 and get 14. Divide that by 2 and get 1. 14 times 3. I'm not sure what that is off the top of my head, so I better multiply it out. Looks like 42. So my answer is n equals 42. Now I had a question before on how do we check our answers on this. We just go back to our original equation, 2/3 n equals 28. And then instead of my n, I'm going to plug in what I figured out n was. So I would say 2/3 times 42 equals 28. Okay. So then I would have 2/3 times 42/1. I don't know, can 3 can go into, so I can divide by 3, get a 1. Divide by 3, 42 divided by 3. 12, 14, so I would get 2 times 14, so I would get 28 equals 28. It checks out. So I just take out whatever I figured out n equals and I put it right back into my original equation. Okay, let's start some new stuff now. All right, our first new problem is -7/10 k plus 14 equals -21. Okay, we always have to get rid of the number without the variable first. So let's subtract 14 from both sides. Now I'm thinking, I owe, whenever there's a negative, I owe whatever that number is. I owe $21 to my mom, and I owe $14 to my grandma. Okay, so if I owe both people money, then I owe a total of $35. I have to add them. Okay, so I'm adding 21 and 14 to get 35, but I owe that money. I don't have it, I owe it. So it's going to be that negative number. Okay, so now I have negative 7/10 k left. Now I'm going to divide both sides by that negative 7/10. Negative 7/10. So I would get k equals negative 35 divided by negative 7/10. Negative 35 over 1 times 10 over 7. Does it matter if my negative is on the numerator or denominator? No, if there's a negative there, then that whole thing is negative. If there were two negatives, it would be positive, but it's not. So we just have to go this way. I'm going to divide by 7 and get a negative 5. Divide by 7 and get a 1. So I'm going to do negative 5 times a negative 10 and get a positive 50. Because remember, a negative times a negative equals a positive number. Negative divided by a negative equals a positive number. So k equals 50 is my answer. How would I check that? I can, instead of having my k here, I can put a 50 in. Okay. The reason why I'm not going to check my answers is because then my video becomes very long, and I would rather you watch more examples than how to check. I just kind of want you to have that as a tool in your back pocket for maybe the NWEAs, for maybe when you're taking your test, that you can plug that k in for this k. Have the 50 in for the k. Okay? Let's try another one. I'm going to move this up. Problem number 2. 2/3 times the quantity of m minus 6 equals 3. Okay, whenever we have something like this, where we cannot combine what's inside the parentheses, right? I can't do what is m minus 6 because they're not like terms. Okay, so I have to distribute my 2/3 to my m. So I'm going to do 2/3 times m. Bring down whatever sign is there. Then I'm going to take my 2/3, I'm going to distribute it to the 6. Please be very careful that you distribute it to everybody. I want you to think of, if I distribute a test, I'm not just going to distribute a test to one person because I want to test everybody. I'm going to distribute that test to everybody, or in this case, everything inside of the parentheses. Okay, so now I have to do 2/3 times 6 equals 3. Okay, so I'm going to get 2/3 m minus, what is 2/3 times 6? 6 times 2 is 12, divided by 3, so it is 4. Okay, so I would have minus 4 equals 3. Now that I distributed, I'm kind of back to my regular number that I'm used to. Oops, I want to get that up. My regular format, I mean. So now I'm going to add 4 to both sides to get rid of my number. I have 7, here I have 0. So now I'm left with 2/3 m equals 7. Yikes, I'm not having enough room. Okay, so now I'm going to divide both sides. Oops. I'm going to divide both sides by 2/3. Divide by 2/3. So I'm left with m on this side. 7 divided by 2/3 is really 7 times 3 over 2. Okay, so 7 times 3 is 21 over 2. Uh-oh, we don't get a nice easy number here. And that's okay. Okay, so 21 halves, or how should you always write your answer? As a mixed number. Always, okay? I don't like improper fractions. I love mixed numbers. So 2 goes into 21 5 times, because 2 times 5, oh, no. I'm thinking 4 here, sorry. 2 goes into 21 10 times, oh my gosh. 10 times, and we are left with 1 left over, so 10.5 is my answer. Yikes, that was a lot of work for one problem. Now let's go and do it again. Okay, number 3. 3/4 P. 3/4 P minus 7 equals 11. Okay, so get rid of that number first. Plus 7 plus 7. I'm left with 3/4 P equals 18. Okay, now I'm going to divide both sides by 3/4, divide by 3/4, and I'm going to get 18 divided by 3/4, or 18 over 1 times 4 over 3. Okay, so I can divide by 3 and get 6, divide by 3 and get 1. 6 times 4 is 24, and 1 times 1 is 1. Okay, so my P should equal 24. Remember, we just have to get rid of the number first, then we can get rid of the number in front of the P or whatever variable it is. And our goal is always to get the variable on one side, the numbers on the opposite side of that equal sign. This is our final goal, to get something that looks like this. P equals, C equals, Q equals. Okay, we want to figure out what they equal. So let's try our last one. Number 4 says 1 and 6/100 n minus 3 equals 0 and 71/100. Okay, so first I'm going to add 3. Remember, line up those decimal points when we're adding. Okay, so I would get 3 and 71/100 equals 1 and 6/100 n. Now I have to divide both sides by 1 and 6/100. Divide by 1 and 6/100. So I would have, always this number is going to come first, 3 and 71/100 divided by 1 and 6/100. Remember, we got to move so our outside number is a whole number. Then same number of decimal spots on the inside. So now I'm left with 371 divided by 106. Okay, well, I'm going to guess it's going to go in there 3 times. And 3 times 106 is 6 times 3 is 18. 3 times 0 is 0, plus 1 more is 18. 318. Okay, 6. 11 minus 8 is 3. 6 minus 1 is 5. That would be 0. Add my decimal point. Bring down a 0. 530. Let's see what 106 times 5 is. 6 times 5 is 30. 5 times 0 is 0, plus 3 more is 3. 5 times 1 is 5. So, goes in there exactly 5 times. And we're left with 0. So our n equals 3 and 5/10. And that's all we had to do for that one. All right, we have a couple more problems that we're going to do. I'm trying to go through this quickly so the video isn't too long, but yet you can still understand what we're doing. So please hang tight. Okay, so now we get to have our favorite kind of problem, which is a word problem. Okay, so here's my trick for you. Figure out what your ending balance is, and that's going to be one side of your equal sign. Okay, so it says, suppose your cell phone plan is $30 per month plus 5 cents per minute. Your bill is $36.75. How many minutes did you use? So what's the final amount you're going to get to? $36.75. Okay, so now we have to ask ourselves, every month there's going to be one number that never changes. You're going to get charged that amount whether you use no minutes or whether you use 100 minutes. Okay, so that number in this case is going to be $30 per month. If you don't even turn your phone on, you're going to have to pay $30 per month because that's how much it costs for your phone each month. Okay, so I'm going to start off by saying $30 plus, okay, because then it says we have to do 5 cents per minute. Okay, so what's going to change every month? It's going to be how many minutes you use, right? Because one month you might use 300 minutes, one month you might use 5 minutes. You never know. So what we're going to do is we're going to put 0 and 0.5 cents times that many minutes. Okay, if I use 2 minutes, it's going to cost me $30.10. If I use 3 minutes, it's going to cost me $30.15. So I would just be multiplying my 5 cents times however many minutes I use. Okay, so now that we got our equation down, we need to solve how many minutes did we use. First, I'm going to get rid of this positive 30 here. Okay, you look at what sign is in front of it. Right now there's nothing, so we automatically know that's going to be a positive. So I'm going to subtract 30 from each side. Remember to line up those decimal points. Okay, so I'm left with 0 and 5/100 m on that side of the equal sign. I'm left with 6.70, oops, that's not 7, $6.75 on the right side. Okay, now I'm going to divide both sides by 0 and 5 cents. Okay, so I'm left with m on the left side. Now I have the top. We start with this, 675 divided by, okay, I got to move it over twice, so I'm really saying what is 675? Oh my goodness, I think I'm becoming dyslexic or something. Okay, 675 divided by 5. Do I need to keep the 2 zeros in front? No, I can just drop them. Okay, 5 goes into 6 once, minus 5, left with 1. 5 goes into 17 3 times, minus 15, 2, 25. 5 goes into 25 5 times. So, and minus 25, I'm left with 0. Okay, so how many minutes did I use? 135 minutes that month. Okay, so what is your end goal? There it is. It's going to equal that. What's going to stay the same every month? That means we don't need a variable. 30. There's where I got my 30. 5 cents per minute. So we want to know how many minutes do we use. I could have used 5 minutes. I could have used 10 minutes. I could have used 135 minutes. So that's why we put our variable next to the 5 cents. Because we have to multiply that by however many minutes we use. Okay. All right, that is the end of our video for today. Thank you for watching, and I will see you later.